Hello friends, welcome. Today we're going to have a bit of a craft along. So it's Saturday and I have these products that came in a club kit from the stamp market, and I thought it would be fun to just have a craft along today. So let's take a look at what comes in this kit. Now all of these are still available to purchase separately. So this is the color palette that the stamp market recommends, and each of the kits come with one of these color sheets. And I have added in just a few things, but I'll show you that as we go along. So I do not have all of these exact colors, so I'll be using some that are a bit different, but let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. All right, well, let's start with the main stamp set. So this is called Fabulously Framed, and it's a fantastic stamp set. I really like it because it's unique. I don't have anything like this. It does come with two sets of dies. So it comes with the flowers, where you can cut out the image of the flower, or you can use cardstock and cut your flowers in the different layers and layer it up using cardstock. And in our cards today, I've done it both ways. And then the second one is to cut out all your frames and your sentiments. So all of these are still available. I like it because it cuts out the center section, and you know, you can use these little center sections for your sentiments and things like that. And so on some of our cards I'll be using those, and on others we won't. So you'll see those as we go. So all right, some of the other products, I am using an embossing folder. I chose this one. It's a 3D embossing folder, and I just thought that the flowers looked a little bit like the flowers in the stamp set, so that's why I chose that. But really, any embossing folder that you have would work great. It's just to, you know, have some texture on the background. Now this is a product from the stamp market that I've had for a long time. It came out, you know, earlier, and I chose to pull that in. I just love that scalloped frame. This is the Hello Daisy, and we'll be using that one. And I've had this, I like this one because it's a bit larger. I think that's what I was telling you. And then here, this one is a greeting set that I've had for a long time. I'm not sure if this one's still available or not, but the stamp market has a lot of beautiful sentiments that you can choose from. And this one is called the layered banner die set and stamp set, and I just love this one. And we're going to be using that today, specifically this little section right here. You don't have to use the whole banner unless you know, you want to. You can layer it up, but I'm just going to be using that one section. And this is some leftover cardstock that I have from the July card kit, and I'm going to use this one pale orange piece, but some of the card kits come with paper, some of them don't. So we'll be using some of that. So all right, let's go ahead and get started. Our first card is going to be a shaker card. And you know what? We're getting a lot of glare, and it looks like I totally forgot to turn off my overhead lights. So bear with me one moment. I'm just going to run around and turn on my desk lights and turn off that overhead light. There we go. That's going to be much better. You won't be getting that glare, so sorry about that. So let's go ahead and make our shaker card. So I have everything here that we're going to need. I've got a piece of acetate, and I've gone ahead and used the die to just cut this aperture in the front of my card. Now this particular piece of paper came this width, so I did not cut it that way. It came in the paper. So I went ahead and I cut a background piece to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 to just give it this, the nice green stripes down the side. And I did forget to tell you, I don't have all the exact colors from the stamp market, but I do have a few. So these are the ones I chose to be my palette for these cards. So mine are a little different, but you can use any inks that you have on hand. And definitely, if you have any frames, stamps and dies, or you can just use your nested dies and use those to make frames. Citrine and Bubble are two of my favorites out of this collection of inks. So, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and glue down this piece, and then we will go ahead and make our shaker element. So I'm just going to center this here. Alright, so one of the things I did pick up recently was this double-sided adhesive tape holder, and this is one of those you know, little mechanisms they make using a 3D printer, but they sold these at scrapbook.com for a while. I picked mine up at a retreat, but it's very handy. You can just put your tape in there and it tears off real easily, kind of like a normal tape dispenser, but I've really enjoyed having this in my craft room. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go all the way around our frame with the narrowest of the double-sided adhesive. Just going to get this piece pulled up a little bit so I can overlap that. Go ahead and remove all of the backing papers here. My finger having a hard time getting a hold of that one. All right, I'm just going to cut a strip here of the acetate and just apply that right over our double-sided adhesive. All right, there's our window. Going to go ahead and surround our frame here with narrow foam strips. I also picked these up in bulk from scrapbook.com. Alright, so when we add our window, I don't want it to have a green background. So the little piece that cut out when I cut the frame, we are going to center that underneath so that it has a white background. So I'm going to do my best here to see if I can get that centered. I'm going to add some glue, but I'm not going to press it down yet. I'm just going to put it in place and then we'll check and see how I have that, if I have it centered. Oh boy, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. We're going to keep that. Go ahead and press that down. All right, now for my shaker bits, I think I'm going to put the high right here in this lower corner. Rather than having it on the inside, I'm going to put it on the outside. Now this little bow, I'm going to place it right above, just like this, so it looks as if your frame is hanging. And here we go. I'm just going to add my glue just right here, and we'll go ahead and put that in place. I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but this particular frame comes in 2 sizes. Now in the stamp set that comes in the kit, we just get this smaller size, but separately you can purchase a larger Stampin' Die that gives you the same frame in a bigger size. Now for my shaker bits, I'm going to use this Crater Lake from Catherine Pooler. And I just love the pretty sparkle. I just wanted to add white, or the clear, in there to give it some sparkle. There we go. It's such a small area, I think that 1 scoop is going to be plenty. I did pull some other colors, but I think that I'm just going to go with the Crater Lake mix. All right, let's hopefully I can get this centered the first time here. There we go. And like I said, I'm just going to add my high word right down here in the lower corner. Now I did die cut several of these and glue them together just to give that a little more sturdiness. And I don't always do that, but sometimes I do. And this was one that I thought looked better just having a little more depth to it. Position that, and the frame was stamped in the emerald as well as the bow, and then the inside of the bow was stamped with the seafoam. All right, our first card. Let's go ahead and glue this to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 A2 side folding card front, and our first card will be complete. So yes, like I said, you do have the option of the larger frame, and we'll be using some of those that come in the paper pad at a later date. But right now we'll get this one finished up with our shaker card. And there we go. Our first card complete. Now for our second card, this is one that I sort of took from Pinterest. Someone had done one very similar. I think the company had put out one, and when I first get a kit, I like to go through the ones that the company did, and so I gave it my own spin, but it's very similar. So I have stamped and cut out all of the frames using some gold embossing powder. And we're just going to arrange all these frames here on this paper. I'm going to let some of them hang off and some of them will be all the way on. We'll kind of see how that works best. And then my sentiment is going to go right here across the middle. So we'll go ahead and I'm not going to pop up all of these frames. I'm sure the one that the Stamp Market did, they were popped up. She loves lots of dimension, and I do too, but I don't. We're making so many cards today, I don't want you to spend the whole time watching me do foam tape. So I'm just going to go ahead and glue these down straight. Also, my mom and sister, as I've said before, they really love flat cards, so I'm going to go ahead and make them happy and make this flat one. So I didn't add any glue across the bottom there. I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down, and that last bottom part there will be cut off. So I'm going to have to go ahead and trim the stem here. And then we're just going to place our flowers inside these frames. I just love how that looks. There we go. I'll just go ahead and get this flower placed inside of this frame. And there's really no rhyme or reason. It's no right or wrong. It's just placing them where you like them inside the frames. And get this little flower on the page. We don't want to lose him. And I'm just going to trim off the bottom of that stem so that it meets up there with the frame. All right. Okay, I don't want my title there, or my sentiment, to cover up my flowers too much. I want to make sure we can see all of the flowers. So I may raise this up just a bit. And again, we're just going to trim off the stem so the flowers fit. I'm going to go ahead and we'll do this last one. So I did use the Versamark to stamp in, and I used a gold embossing powder. So we are almost finished with our second card. I'm going to go ahead and let that flower overlap there onto the frame and trim off this last little bit of stem. All right, so the only thing left to do is to add our sentiment once we cut the edges that are hanging off. And that flower is awfully thick, so it might take me a second to get through that. And there we go. I think that is beautiful. Love how that turned out. Oops. All right, so let's, I'm just going to try and decide here whether we want to just glue it down or if we want to pop it up. We could do it at an angle, but I think I like this best, just going, you know, kind of straight across there, that open space that I left. And it's okay if it covers up some of the orange flowers over there, as long as we can still see some of them. Yeah, I think I like it about like this. Since everything else is one layer, I decided to just go ahead and glue this down by itself. I didn't think I wanted it popped up since nothing else was popped up. Oops, it needs to be centered. And there we go. I like it. Now looking out without all the gold, I'm thinking it might look nice to have a few gold gems. So let me just grab some of those and we'll see how we like that. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to grab some of these gold gems that I have. These are from Pink Fresh Studios. And just gonna see if we like these. Now these are bright gold and shiny. And I think they just add a little too much. I think they're a little distracting. So we're gonna skip that right now and just go with the way I have it. Now, I may come back later and add some glitter gems, ones that are a little more subtle, maybe is the right word. If you take a look at the picture for this video, you'll see that I did come back and add some of those more subtle gems, the glitter gems. They're still gold, but they're much more subtle than that bright that I tried. So, all right. Card number 2 is complete. I love it. All right, for card number 3, I went ahead and I cut our pink frame to go around this pattern paper. This is a pattern paper that came with the card kit. And originally I had the green piece of paper that we ended up using on the first card. I had tried that behind on this card, and it made it look too much like a hospital. I didn't like it with with 2 of the frames stamped in the green and then the green background. It just had too much of a hospital look. Whoops, knocked down our cards. But I did like the blush color paper behind it. So I have 3 of the hello words stamped and embossed in the gold. And we're just gonna go ahead and get these added. Now I think there's only 3 frames on this one. I think let's go ahead and add some foam and pop these up. Now they're not shakers, so it doesn't have to go all the way around, but let's do pop up some of them. I'm not going to do it on every card, but I do want to see how that looks on some of them. So looks like I got out of the frame here just a little bit. Sorry about that. But there's one. I'm going to do the blush frame last because it's going to layer on top of the other 2, so we won't need to put our foam all the way around. I love this narrow stripped foam tape. Makes life so much easier. Whoever decided to come out with this was a genius. I remember when we used to have to cut the larger pieces into thinner strips, and it took a long time. So just going to add a couple pieces just on the corners here. Whoops. And again, I apologize for being out of the frame. There we go. And yeah, just like this. Just going to layer those up just like this. Now, I think we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of that foam tape onto the back of our hello words. Since the frames are popped up, I feel like these hello words need to be raised as well. I love this little hello die and stamp. It comes in the main stamp kit or stamp set for this kit, and that little hello word is just a perfect size for me. And I do make a lot of cards that just say hello. And in this case, hello, 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 kind of reminds me of a Beatles song, which I will not sing for you, but all right, we're going to go ahead and add our florals, and I'm just going to tuck them in beside the frames. You remember how I had this here. Whoops. Just getting it all kind of laid out. Now, I think I eventually decide to switch some of those florals around. We'll see here when we get them glued down. I think my phone was chiming there and I had to reach up and hit the mute button. So. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and add our frames. And you can see on these frames I chose not to use the white centers and to just let that patterned paper show through. So when I kind of debut a card kit like this, I kind of like to try all the different elements in the different ways there, so you can see how that will look in the different ways to use it. And just a little bit of glue there on the parts that will overlap the frame, the other two frames. I'm trying to make sure that the little decorative pieces are straight across on this one. So for my flowers, I am going to go ahead and glue those down, and I like this yellow one up here. And we're going to go ahead and put that in place. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in place so that one of the flowers kind of attaches there on the oval frame. And then we'll add the single one over here. There we go. And then we'll add this larger one down here. And again, I'm going to let those flowers come up onto the frames. I like it when the pieces kind of touch one another like that. It kind of just brings your whole scene together. Makes the eye see it as one image instead of multiple separate images. And there we go. Oh, that's looking nice. I think the only thing left to do is to center our hello words in the center of each of these frames. And I am just going to eyeball this. I'm not going to get out a ruler to find the center. I'm just going to eyeball it. If you know me, me and a ruler are not the best of friends. I tend to get it better if I just eyeball it than if I try to get all fancy and use a ruler. So there we go. All right, I really like how this one came together. I've got the Beatles song stuck in my head now. All right, we're going to go ahead and get this attached to a card front. I don't know if you are fans of the Stamp Market, but just a couple days ago, she came out with a new release. There we go. With a new release where she has made new oxide inks, and I am saving my money to get all of them because I'm very excited about that. All right, so here is that larger size frame. You can get this in a stamp and die form, but in the kit, it came with some cut-aparts that were that large size. It also comes with all these different words and images that you can cut out and use. So I don't have that stamp and die, so I just went ahead and cut them out by hand. So we are going to use a couple of these. And this is another one. The way you see me make it here, if I'm going to use the For You from this stamp set. Now, the way you see me make it here, you will notice if you look at the picture that I did change it up. And I'll tell you how I changed it as we get this one made. I did decide to go with the For You. I tried all the feels, but all the feels is just not a sentiment that I would use very often. So I did decide to just go with the For You. Just go ahead and get our frame glued down. So I have a nice outline there. And the way I'm going to do this is just add this floral arrangement right down here in the corner. And then when I get ready to stamp it, I want that to be just right there where the bottom of the Y kind of fits right there between those two sets of flowers. So one thing about the Stamp Market ink, if I was using a stamp positioner, it would be fine because I could do it multiple times. But the emerald is the one that would stamp the best. But I use the leafy green, so emerald's not going to look real good on this card. So there's really not any of the others that I feel comfortable using without using a stamping platform. So I decided to go ahead and go with black. But I have to be honest, when it was all done, I really did not like the black ink on there. So after I was done with the video, I did go ahead and stamp this in the Versamark and die cut it. I did the gold embossing and I die cut it and I glued it over the top of this black sentiment. I did not, I just couldn't get used to the black ink. I did not like it with all these, you know, I didn't have anything else black on the whole thing. So it did stamp very well. They make very high quality products, so that wasn't an issue, but I just couldn't get used to that black. So you will see, if you see a picture of it later, you'll see that I did go ahead and cover that up with another sentiment that is gold embossed. There we go. Now I'm going to layer this up so the stems kind of overlap. I just think it looks better when you don't have a bunch of stems down there going all which different ways. Now, I did decide to move it down just a little bit because it was touching the bottom of my Y there, so I went ahead and moved that down. Just a bit. There we go. All right. Now, again, our little bow here is made so it looks like the frame is hanging. And it gives you, you know, if you want to have your frame kind of centered on the front of your card, it gives you some leeway on how far up or down you have your frame. So I decided that I did want to have this popped up. So I'm going to grab some foam here. And go ahead and pop this up. I like this card so much better after I added the gold, and I also added some gems. some of the same glitter gems that I add to some others. Try to get that centered up here. Nope, that's totally crooked. Have to straighten that up. There, that's better. All right, now the ends, I didn't pop those up because I'm going to let those rest underneath my frame, but we are going to pop the frame up. See if we can get that centered. And there we go. All right. And you can see for yourself there that that black just does not work on this card. So we're going to go ahead and get that attached to a card front. And card number 4 will be complete. So do tell me there in the chat, are you having some crafty fun this Saturday? Working on any big projects? So here is card number 5, and this is one of my favorite ones. I really love the scalloped frame, and the Stamp Market offers a glimmer piece that adds a nice gold kind of detail line on the inside, and I don't have that piece yet, but that is something I really need to add to my collection, because every time I use this I wish that I had that fancy gold line on the inside, especially with this card. I think because my sentiment is in gold embossed, I think that gold detail line would be very nice. And this is another one of those cutout frames, and I went ahead and cut out the center as well. And at first I thought this paper was the bubble paper, but it is not. This paper is called Party. And today I am using the solid papers. The Stamp Market sells a pack of paper where you get 2 of each of their colors. And I kind of keep those on hand for when I'm using their products. They sell really pretty colors of cardstock. And this little checked gingham pattern paper came with the kit. And I cut that down to fit inside my frame. All right, we're going to go ahead and add some foam around this piece. So you may have noticed that today's video is a little bit different. I'm actually doing a voiceover, which I rarely to never do. I usually record my videos live, and what I say as I'm crafting is just what you get. I don't, I don't change it up or anything like that. So this is very odd for me. You probably notice that sometimes I'm talking in present tense and sometimes in past tense, which, because I did do this in the past, but it's not natural for me to do it like this at all. But when I recorded this video, my mic wasn't working, so we got the mic working, and now we are, we're just going to do a voiceover because I didn't want to lose all these beautiful cards, and there was no way I could make all the pieces a second time to do it again, so we're just trying it this way. All right, learning a new technique. So this one is a simple one. I'm just going to add this beautiful daisy here on the inside. And the stem here is die cut from a piece of the emerald paper, which I think just goes with the party paper really well. So I'm going to glue that coming up from that corner so that the top of my stem is somewhat in the center of my card. Not completely, but close. If I put the stem right in the center, then the daisy would be way off to one side. So when you're using this piece, you have to pay attention to where that top portion is going to end up. So when I add this flower, I want it to be up on the frame, and that one larger petal is what's going to be down by the stem. So I'm going to hold on to it right there on that petal. That way I can kind of keep an eye on where it is and where it's going to be placed. And I'm just going to angle that so you can still see the stem. And there we go. This one is one of my favorites. It's very simple, but I just like the way it comes together. I am going to go ahead and pop up the word hello. Just with the frame popped up, I feel like the sentiment needs to be popped up as well. I'm going to place that just right down here inside the frame. And there we go. All right. Let's go ahead and add this one to a card base. And card number 5 is complete. So when I do one of these craft along videos, I take the sets that I'm going to be working with and I just make a lot of pieces. I don't really have any plan of how I'm going to use them. I just create a lot of pieces. Then I start putting them all together. And look at that. I didn't get that on quite right. I'm going to have to trim that top edge off. Then I start kind of laying them out together and deciding how I want to use them. Now, this particular piece is where I use the embossing folder. And the first time that I did the embossing folder, this one corner just did not emboss properly. So I did do it a second time, and it's much better. And it's still not the best down in that corner, but it's much better than the first time. So I do think that that's going to work for me. And this ends up being one of my favorite cards. Now, right now it is cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I decided I do want a little bit of a white edge, so I'm going to go ahead and trim off about a 1/4 inch from the top and one side, so that I'll have a nice white outline. When I do white on white, I often like to have that white outline. I just think it adds a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and lay it out, and I'm putting the colors of the frame is what is varied, and then the circle and oval is on top, and the rectangle and square are on the bottom. But these are stamped in orange, or sorry, in melon and in bubble. And then we're just going to put the flowers inside 3 of the frames, and we're going to go ahead and put the love and thanks, which is also gold embossed, right here in the last frame. All right. Now, I did decide that I'm going to go ahead and pop these up as well. And this is the last one that's going to be popped up, so this will be the last time that you'll have to watch me add foam. This does turn into one of my favorite cards. Lately, I've really enjoyed adding embossing folders and using them with my cards. I kind of, I'll go years without using very much of them at all, and then all of a sudden I'll start using them again and really enjoy them. But then I'll kind of set them aside and not use them for a while. It's just kind of like a cycle. So I'm just going to quickly here get this foam on. And you can see in my flowers there that I've die cut the pieces and then layered the different colors on top of each other, that there are a lot of different ways to layer up these flowers, especially the flower centers. It's just gives you lots of options. Now, this is the only time that I decided to go ahead and pop up the flowers as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put some foam on the back of my sentiment. And then I'm also going to put a small piece of foam on the back of each of the flowers. Now I'm not going to do the stems, I'm just going to add some to the flower petals. And again, I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. So often when I'm doing a video, I have it planned out ahead of time. So some of this kind of stuff I have done in advance. But on these craft alongs, I'm often, designing it as I go. So sometimes I'll have a general idea, but I haven't made all those decisions yet. So here I'm off the frame, but you can see that I'm just, or you can't see, I'm adding just a small tiny piece of foam on the back of each of those little round flowers. All right. And now I am going to go ahead and attach this to a card front with that nice white outline. And I'm going to try to go ahead and add the flower in advance so that the stem is tucked where it needs to be, but I have a little bit of trouble doing that. So I end up scrapping that idea. See, it falls all over, it gets stuck on the tape, then the flower's on the inside instead of the outside, and I'm like, okay, this didn't work quite like I had hoped. So in a moment here, I'm just going to not do it that way. It was just the little stem was just too thin and flimsy to hold itself in place there. So yeah, scrap that idea. So I'm going to go ahead and put the frame down, and I'm just going to be careful there to get that right edge and the bottom the same distance away from the edge of the card. So I'm going to add just a little bit of glue there to the stem, and then I'm going to place the flowers. Then I decide that the stem was a little too long, so I cut off just a hair off the stem, and now we're going to place that in the frame. There we go. Perfect. Takes me a minute to get there, but all right, now I'm going to add the square frame, and the same thing to the left side of the card. I'm just going to try to keep the distance of the frame and the left side of the card the same as I had done on the right side. And then also keep a similar distance between the two frames. And I also tried to center the square one up and down ways to the rectangle one. All those things, your eye perceives those things, whether you realize it or not. So, all right, now we'll go ahead and do the top ones. Now, because these are round instead of square, it's a little harder to see that distance. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of set this one in place, and I decide I want the decorative pieces going up and down rather than side to side. And that's just going to help me get my oval placed. A little too far there. I got it crooked. There we go. And now I'll go ahead and add the next one. All right, now this one, I do have to trim it several times to get that stem low enough so that my flowers fit in the frame well. So I have a piece of foam that's just really blocking it from going anywhere. So I end up having to trim it several times. Still too tall. So one more trim and I think this finally does it. There we go. Ah, perfect. All right, I love how that one came together. I love that pretty embossed look underneath. And I like the colors of this one. That one is one of my favorites. Okay, so this next card, I'm going to do something that I rarely do on film because I'm not good at it, and you'll see why here in just a moment. But I really love how this card turns out in the end. But I'm going to do that old press and seal technique where you this card and the last card are what I like to call my extras. These are like the pieces that were just left at the end, and I'm going to go ahead and arrange these as a background. And for the most part, I have them arranged already. I'm just going to kind of fiddle with them a little bit here, getting it just how I want it. Then I'm going to take my press and seal and totally screw it up. And you'll see that in just a moment. So all of this well thought out placement gets totally messed up in just a moment. And after that, I decide, okay, we're just going to do it. So here, there's a little piece of something that was in the way there. So, all right, now I'm going to take my press and seal. Looks pretty good. Oh, this one. No, it was better the way it was. Perfect. All right. Now I take my press and seal and I'm just going to lay it down on top. And guess what? Right there, I realized it stuck to my hand instead of the paper. I totally did it upside down. And there is no way to move it without pulling up all those little pieces. So the next time, I don't fiddle with it nearly as much. We're just going to plop them down there and get this card finished. So, like I said, there's a reason I don't usually do this on camera. But we get all of those just back in place. And like I said, we don't fiddle with it much anymore. We're just going to press go and get it done. All right, so turn the press and seal back over, make sure we've got it the right way, and there we go. Press that down real well so that all the flowers are stuck to the press and seal. I'm going to turn it over, oops, and then slowly peel back the paper. Now a couple of those little bitty yellow flowers do pull up, but you can see right here how one of them kind of overlapped the other, but no problem. All right, so now it's just a matter of putting glue. Now, some people would choose to put foam, but those teeny tiny little yellow flowers, especially with this being one of my extras cards, I did not want to cut foam for all these little pieces. So I am just going to glue it all down. I suppose if I did this technique often enough, I would get a little better at it, but I just forget to do that often. I just glue the pieces down randomly and I don't lay it all out. So you'll have to tell me there in the comments whether this is a technique that you do. And have you ever done your press and seal upside down and messed it all up? All right, so now that I have my glue on the back, we'll go ahead and put this in place. But it was fairly forgiving. I was able to recover fairly quickly, so got it on there pretty good. All right. Just gonna slowly peel that back. And I have a couple flowers pull up, but nothing too bad. Those tiny yellow ones. All right. One little stem there that I didn't manage to get glue under, so glue that down. Now trim off the edges. There weren't too many hanging off, just a few. And now, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's one flower that when I was stamping, I dropped my ink pad. And you can see right there where the citrine, I dropped it and it touched the flower. So that is where I'm going to put my sentiment. Just like this. Now this is another card that after my video was finished, I did change it up just a little bit. Now I moved my frame over so that you can see a little bit more of those pink flowers. I didn't want to lose the pink. I had quite a bit of yellow up above it, so I wanted more of those pink to show. So, and the congrats is heat embossed in the gold, just like most of my other sentiments. Now, one of the things I had thought to do was to use my Copics to color this frame, and I totally forgot to do it during the video, but I did come back and do it later. So I also added some gems in the center of all of the flowers, and I used those same gold glittered gems that I used on some of the other cards that you can see. So I will post pictures of some of these, and I'll go ahead and I'll put them on Pinterest as well, so that if you ever get this set, you'll be able to see some of these ideas of how to use it. Now this particular one, this idea with any little flower pieces, you could do a card like this. So there you go. I think that's card number 7. And the last card, card number 8, it truly is a simple card, but these are my leftover pieces, and I just love it when I can take my leftover pieces and turn them into cards. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this down. I'm going to cut it 4 by 5 1/4 so that I have that white outline. And then add those few pieces. This is super simple, and every single one of these pieces, including the paper, all of it is extras. Even the little white piece, that was in my extras box. So I love it when I can turn those extras into a card. look at that. That one side is crooked. So I am going to go ahead and trim that again, just slightly, because it was really crooked. So just a hair there, we're going to trim that off. And I probably should have trimmed just a hair off the top or the bottom, but I didn't want, since there was already glue on it, I didn't want to get glue on my paper trimmer. So we're just going to let that outline be a little off on the top and bottom, and that's okay. It's all right. It's lucky it's turned into a card. It could have been trash, so we're not going to get too upset about it. So there we go. I like it. I think that little die is actually from a Whimsy die set called the Sprinkles frame set, rectangle frames. And I use that a lot in my Whimsy crafting, so I was glad I could use that little piece. Who knows when I tossed it in my extra box. That same thing, I'm going to put my daisy down in the lower corner there so that the center, or the top of the stem, is somewhat in the center. And again, I'm going to add my daisy, holding on to it from that largest petal. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and just add the hello there across the bottom. Have a few centers there that needed popped out. Very sweet. Now the color of the paper is called Blush. It matches that ink that's right above it. And I got it crooked, so we're just going to raise that up a bit. That's why I like liquid glue. Gives you that little bit of wiggle room, and I often need it. And there we go, card number 8. Let's go ahead and move these inks and take a look at all the cards that we were able to make today. I was really happy of the different cards that I was able to make with this kit. Whoops. We started with our shaker card at the very beginning. We have the gold embossed frames. That is one of my favorites. And I do add some gems to that. And I like it even better after that. I love this one. And this one, all of these are... Now that one with the black sentiment, did not like that one. Had to change that one up. But the rest of them, I was very happy with. So there we go. Do take a look at the pictures. I do make some changes to a few of them, but overall, I love how they all turned out. They all are very different, but they really use those frames and the flowers, and I really like how they turned out. So I know this one was a long one, but I just enjoy a good Saturday craft along. So if you have any products, I hope these, I hope this gives you some ideas. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you again soon in a video to come. Have a great day.